Good morning, everybody. We dancing to the music that isn't music. So here we go. This is Coffee Pan Dulce, and it is Wednesday, August 24th. If we look a little sluggish or a little tired looking, we're actually filming our morning show in a morning. It is the day before we drop the show. It is technically Tuesday morning as we're recording this, but you'll see it on Wednesday morning, of course. But good morning, Christian. How are you?
Good morning, Jenny. It has been a minute since we have actually taped in the morning. So,
it's been almost a year.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we had you and I both, everyone, Barb as well, had a very busy weekend. And, thank you for being flexible. We had to move the taping to Tuesday morning because I had a Charlotte City Council meeting. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, as does Jenny. And we actually probably could have done it. They ended up early. I actually left the building and there was sunlight. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with this?
Well, yeah, you were already messaging me and talking about it way before, because we normally, for people, full disclosure, if you're either tuning in for the first time and or you somehow missed it, because it's the running joke that we tape them late Monday nights for a lot of reasons. One is that I work a day job, so it's kind of hard for me to tape in the mornings anymore. And two, it's easier to get guests at 9 o'clock at night than it is, in the middle of the week or the morning, because if they're working a day job, a lot of people are not going to, for free, or going to stop what they're doing and earning a living to come on to our show.
I just heard Good Morning America now. So, it's just, so, they're like, we'll come on. What time is it?
Well, yeah.
So, Monday nights are easier.
They actually probably pay their guests an appearance fee versus us.
Or at least give them a goodie bag.
Yeah. I'm sure they just don't pay them in smiles. And so to accommodate our little bootleg podcast here, we started taping in the evenings or late evenings last fall, and I think we started in October. And so and also too, it really helps not being live. So in case we have snafus or the little internet gremlin,
gives us time to
to actually produce a more professional show. And I can't wait for us to get there someday. But anyway, it's just us.
Well, that's all right. Well, good morning, Jenny, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn, Barb Bacon, Mama Ruthless. We're Mama Ruthless currently. Definitely. And Barb is actually, because we did switch it, I apologize, Barb was going to join us as usual, but she is committed to something this morning already. But we do want to thank all those who are joining us on Facebook Live, but also those who join us on YouTube and then Facebook later, and the thousands of people who now listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform, all of them. And that's it. You have to watch other shows to get that joke. And all right, so let's go ahead and salute to our neighbors. And I left myself, I'm on this small direct thing, and I don't want to stain my teeth, so I've got this straw. This is so curly. All right. Anyway, salute to your neighbors. Whatever you're drinking, this is coffee and my straw, so I don't stain my teeth. And then we also want to thank our producer sponsor. I reached out because I don't have a table on the side. Our producer sponsor and supplier have loaded up again. Now they have the little ones in chocolate, Jen. So it is, I know. I'm going to eat it during the show, so you'll see how that's going to work out. Producer, sponsor, and supplier, Manolo's Bakery here in Charlotte, North Carolina on Central Avenue. Please visit Manolo's Bakery for all of your baking needs, tres leche, all kinds of stuff. Or visit your local black and brown bakery, restaurant, shop. Please buy local. All right. That's right. Okay, so I'm looking at Jenny to see if I missed something. Okay, Jenny, let's go ahead and introduce yourself with any imaginary button. Jenny, please.
Well, good morning, everybody. Again, I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, and if I was wearing buttons, which I don't like wearing the buttons, but if I did wear them, Of course, moms demand action, gun sense, safety laws. It's, I mean, we just passed the first one in 30 years this year. Thank you to the Biden-Harris administration for committing to our families and to our neighbors to keep people safe. Of course, I am a member of the National Organization for Women, Charlotte chapter, and a board member as well. So support women, support trans women, and real men support women, just like the sign that's right behind Christian next to his sombrero, and which I just love. And then most of all, Black Lives Matter, racial justice, and equity into our society is way past needed as well, among other things. And of course, any Pride LGBT organization. In case you guys couldn't pick that up, with my pronouns next to my name, she, they. I am a out of the closet queer trans woman, and do a few things here around in Charlotte.
Now, Jen, let's spend a little time on the Pride Day, because that was a pretty big deal. I know we did a show last week on Pride. We've had a lot. You may want to
introduce yourself.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm Christian Cano, your other co-host. That's right. That's right. I'm Christian Cano, your other co-host. My buttons are Medicare for all, healthcare for all, Moms Want Action, gun sense legislation. Here's my Pride button from this past weekend. And then also in my heart, Black Lives Matter, on behalf of Joe Oldham, who was a guest of ours who died at a very young age here in Charlotte, North Carolina. With that said, we did a show last week about Pride. Great response. We also got some remarks on, I'm glad people are following us. We're not going to read those remarks, but you and I are talking. We've had the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of remarks, starting from the MAGA Republicans, which is now up to 14,000 viewers, and I don't know how many thousands of listeners. And people love to remark, so I'm glad they're remarking, But Pride here in Charlotte, North Carolina, maybe you want to let the audience know it broke records. It was incredible.
The crowd was measured at 275,000 people, which was about 75,000 more than the 2019, which is essentially our last Pride before COVID. We do hold our Pride in August instead of the traditional month for several reasons. But I mean, Charlotte Pride did a phenomenal job, like I expected them to do.
It was incredible.
Considering they haven't done a live event in 3 years as far as this major event. The only thing we've done since COVID is that we did our spring film festival, which is a fraction of the size of this. It was a 5-night event, and we probably had a couple thousand people come through during that time, but nothing to the proportions as this is. We have a huge street festival, a huge parade, and we take over a significant street in Uptown, or what we call it Uptown, but it's actually a downtown area with huge skyscrapers and pretty buildings and shiny stuff and all that. And we are very grateful, one, that the city of Charlotte and the county of Mecklenburg provides these facilities and all the infrastructure and the emergency services that you would need with a big festival, because some people maybe do partake a little bit too much and pass out at the festival, which happens every year. And then also the protection and the support services to make sure it's a safe thing for everybody's family as well. So we had a huge event, and the Charlotte Pride team did a phenomenal job. I mean, I'm in awe that, one, they handled a record crowd very gracefully and very, unless you know what to look for, they didn't really struggle that much. And just did it in a way that was honoring our community and just having everybody had a good time. And that's the most important thing. With any festival, whether it's a Cano festival in Texas or an LGBT festival, Pride festival, anywhere in the United States or the world, it's really just about having a good time, coming together and just seeing our community. And what a lot of people don't realize, if you've never been to a Pride event, is that the modern Pride events have community booths from different civic organizations and schools and churches and political parties and all kinds of stuff. I mean, you see, well, I mean, McDonald's was one of the big sponsors of the deal. In fact, the little swag bag that we got at the VIP deal has, McDonald's logo on it. And
well, so Jen, I know you and I talked about this weekend at Pride because we were in the VIP tent, and that was a wonderful our
courtesy of the show.
Tent.
That's
right. Yeah, exactly.
And most of all, you and your lovely husband.
Yes, yeah, that was it was wonderful. I'm glad we were able to do that. And but to put it in perspective, Charlotte has a little over 1 million people. Charlotte Mecklenburg County, is that right? Or maybe somewhere around that. Yeah, 1.2 million. So the festival was almost a fourth of the population of Charlotte. That is an incredible festival in the parade, and it was so diverse. I saw kids in the parade. I was looking at the video yesterday of the parade. We actually, on our Facebook page, if you watch us and listen to us, we actually posted a link to someone who actually was videoing from their perspective, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful parade. But just the festival as well was wonderful. We saw just the young, all ages. It was very well done, as you mentioned. I was very, very impressed by that. And so those who are looking for a place to move, if you live in Texas or Florida, come to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Well, one of the things, I'll touch on this just a little bit. One of the things, and because you and I both grew up in Texas, but we were children of the 80s and 90s and the late 70s, and we experienced a different Texas that exists in a lot of ways. That's in certain ways is similar to what Charlotte is now, because Dallas was probably closer to the size of Charlotte when you grew up in Dallas. And the same way for me for San Antonio. In fact, San Antonio was probably considerably smaller than Charlotte when I grew up, but it was kind of had the same problems, the same growing pains that we saw in Dallas and San Antonio when those Sunbelt cities were exploding in the 70s, 80s, and 90s in growth. And so for y'all that maybe you have a trans kid and you're trying to escape tyranny from Texas, Charlotte's a very blue dot with a blue governor, with a strong, intelligent, compassionate governor. And if you really want to still have the feeling of the South and feel the small town feel of Southern hospitality, but want to escape the tyranny of Governor Abbott and Governor Dick Suckus, then come on up to Charlotte and still enjoy the Southern weather, the Southern hospitality, but none of the kookery, because it is a Democratic stronghold here. And because we have a state government that has got a mixture, it's a purple government. So it's really, you make a good point. I think that's why Charlotte's adding 100 people a day. According to the Chamber of Commerce, 100 people a day are moving into the greater Charlotte area because of opportunity, because of good weather, a favorable government that is both fair and protective, and beautiful trees. Like it's
beautiful
just,
state.
We're doing the Chamber of Commerce's job for them.
Exactly. Yeah, we need to get them. Actually, I saw your friend Chad from the LGBTQ Carolina Chambers last night. He was going to speak about something. But listen, hey, what we're saying is exactly the topic of our show. But before we do the topic, today's topic is why Dems run America's top cities. So perfect segue. But before we do the topic, we're actually going to talk about our 3 current events. I'm going to introduce the 3 current events, and then we're going to go ahead and take our first break, so that way we don't interrupt you, Jen. And so the 3 topics we're going to talk about today are going to be in Texas. Latinx, Hispanics, Tejano, Chicano, whatever term you want to use, individuals are very upset. They've had it with the Texas Border Patrols that their governor Abbott has imposed, because they are not just they're stopping them and searching their cars and asking them if they have smuggling people, and so they're very upset on the border towns of Texas, which who would have thought that would have happened? So that's the first thing. The second thing is there was a survey done by a university in Florida, and they did a survey of swing voters in Florida, which there aren't a lot, but there are swing voters in Florida. And they asked them to rate their opinion on Marco Rubio and DeSantis, the two Republicans, and they were not happy. In the case of DeSantis, some of the comments about him contain power hungry, petty, opportunist, egotistic, anti-abortion, and bull in a china shop. And then on the remarks about the other individual, Rubio, far right, not genuine, puppet, absent, coward, sellout. These are the terms that the swing voters, and so this does not look good for them as we come up to the November elections. Midterm elections. And then, of course, not to be outdone, here in North Carolina, the highest ranking elected Republican is our lieutenant governor, little crazy, crazy. Yes, his name is, as well, we don't even want to mention his name. Anyway, he has said at a meeting this weekend that children below 5th grade shouldn't be taught science or history in school. So, Jenny, think about those. We're going to take our first break, and then you can start commenting, okay? So we'll be right back on Coffee Pan Dulce. We'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching our Coffee Pan Dulce show every week. Don't forget, you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, well, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee Pan Dulce. We'll dance out.
All right, Jenny. How about that? So,
Well, first of all, to all the mouth breather MAGAs, I was going to call them maggots, but that too, in Texas, when you've been screaming about border security, including the Tejano MAGAs down there too, the idiots that keep voting for Ted Cruz and Abbott. Here's the thing. When you put in a wall, the wall just doesn't keep people out. It also keeps you in. That's why the communists built walls in like Berlin and places like that, is when they wanted to control you and stop the flow of migration, which is a natural human thing that we've done our entire existence, millions of years. One, it's unnatural and stupid. And two, I know that Christian and I talk about this all the time when we were kids and we would go, shopping in Nuevo Laredo and all the border crossings, and it just was a normal thing. And, during, festival times and things like that, like April and March, when you have like the Easter season and you see Mexican nationals from northern Mexico shopping in San Antonio. And it just was a normal, we're just really the same people. So Texas and Mexico are the same people. That used to be part of New Spain and Mexico, and it just has always been that way. Kind of like in Europe, a lot of people from Germany and France live on the borders, and they go across all the time because it's just a normal thing. And so, bitch all you want, but how about you just switch governors and then you'll be fine. Exactly. If you just don't elect a freaking idiot, and then when Lady Cruz is up for election, vote him out too in 2024, and then you'll cure a lot of problems. I'm just telling you, it's like taking the trash out. You need to do it fairly often. The next one, Rubio and DeSantis, they did this to themselves. So you can't be an absolute Trump cook and try to act like him and talk like him and then not expect blowback. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. When they lose this fall, and they're probably going to lose, they're both behind in the polls. They get what they've sowed for years, and they killed lots of people by discouraging them to get the vaccine and not wear a mask. They have blown apart their deal. They're doing all this "don't say gay." They're just wondering why there's a teacher's shortage. If I had a teaching certificate, whether I was queer or not, I would not teach in Florida. I would not work for a governor that is so obsessed with certain types of people that would you take the oath of office, no matter what job it is to serve those people, including the gay ones.
Yeah.
And so not only does he break the oath of his office, he's just an idiot. As far as our current lieutenant governor here in North Carolina, that's also a MAGA, he's just a moron. This guy rants and raves about teaching sex education, including LGBT sex at school, and showing how to explain safe sex, and he was like calling it porn. And it was like a cartoon illustration of stick figures in different positions. I'm like, bro, if that's your version of porn, you definitely have some issues. I feel sorry for his significant other. But it really just screams to how stupid the MAGAs really are. We shouldn't be teaching science to fifth graders. What? You don't want them to make a volcano, out of like lemon drops and mud? I mean, what are you afraid they may understand that you're a moron if they use the scientific method? I mean, what kind of mouth breather caveman mentality is, oh my God, we're scared of science. What's next? We're going to be scared of math? You're going to be scared of health class? Oh, that's right. And Republicans are scared of books too, since they're banning books everywhere.
Exactly.
Very good points, Jen. I completely agree with you. The Texas border thing, I just want to read a little bit of what they were talking about. So basically, I got to put my cheaters on. Sorry. It says the Texas governor has woven at the border, and he's tied up traffic. First of all, people are upset. Local vendors, businesses are upset because he tied up traffic for so many months with his, acting like I don't know what
his extra security force.
Extra security force. Exactly. And apparently the individuals at the border are starting to get very irritated by it because it's bothersome. It's just bothering it. I mean, imagine. And to your point, Jen, growing up in Texas, I remember Texans and my family, Tejanos, whatever, we would visit our neighbor in Mexico more than we would our neighbor in Oklahoma. So we considered Mexico more of a friendly state than Oklahoma. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. But that's interesting.
There's nothing fun in Oklahoma. I mean, first of all, up until recently, they started making, the Native American nations of casinos.
But we didn't want to visit Oklahomans. We wanted to visit
we go on to the national the Native American nations level and go spend money with them. But Oklahoma City does have a kind of a cutesy little Riverwalk knockoff that isn't too bad. But anyway, other than that, Oklahoma sucks. That's why Texas doesn't slide into the Gulf. It just pulls us up on the deal. But yeah, Mexico has always been more fun. And I mean, the border towns have always had a lot of retail shopping opportunity. We'd go over there and eat. I mean, you and I have probably both crossed hundreds of times over our childhood and our lifetime, and it was just a typical or normal thing that we, as Texans and Arizonans and New Mexicans and Californians, did the same thing. Is that they're it's just, if you were of a certain age before these mouth breathers convinced us that Mexico was a threat of some type, which is just stupid and racist, is that it was just a thing. It's our neighbor. It's Mexico. Like they're not going to invade.
And Jenny, I know you and I know this, but for those who are watching who aren't familiar with the history of Texas, and my family is a byproduct of this unique history. Texas was part of Mexico for forever. And when the border actually went south, and so there are many people who live in South Texas, Central Texas, South Texas, and even northern Mexico that are called Tejanos. They were Mexican citizens, And then when the border crossed, 1843, I think, I'm trying to remember the date, they became
1845.
Tex. Yeah, yes, that's right. 1845, they became Texas citizens because Texas was its own country, and then they became American citizens when the United States annexed Texas. And so their families, and my family is one of them, part of my family, that were Mexican, then Texan, then American, but they're considered Tejanos. It's a type of population there. And so, to your point, Jenny, there are many people whose families maybe live in San Antonio forever. They have family members that live not very far in Mexico, and they have, for generations, centuries, have traveled back and forth. So it is not uncommon
It's just
for that to occur.
it's just a normal.
Mhm.
It for me to Chris, Republicans, since they don't have a platform anymore, and they did away with all that fancy reading and writing, that just gets in the way of their kookery. They just make it up as they go, and I guess they decided that Mexico was going to be on the threat list, the same as homosexual sex. I guess it's just like we're so afraid of like
Yeah.
I don't know how they sleep at night because they create all these fears, and Republicans on average aren't as smart as Democrats, so
Yeah.
they've worked really hard at being dumb. I mean,
Recently, yeah. I mean,
You-
over the last, yeah.
you can't say the stuff that you've been saying. And even George W. Bush, I mean, he said a lot of stupid stuff. I mean, between lying about Iraq and Afghanistan and, little pesky war crimes and killing over 1 million people of color, you can't say the crap you've been saying and turn it up on steroids with Moscow Mitch and all these guys and just not understand that eventually people are going to remember that. And when they go to the polls and vote, they're going to remember how dumb you are as a Republican and view the Republican Party is just a bunch of idiot clowns. And at some point it catches up to you. And I hope those Tejanos that are mad about it, that maybe traditionally had voted Republican for whatever reason, can't understand why, maybe we'll go to the polls.
So you know what you and I were talking about this stuff that's going on in South Texas, and you and I have said I can't believe the Tejanos. I consider them the new silent majority in Texas because they're not as vocal as the loud MAGA individuals in Texas.
Sure.
But one of the things that they've said, according to this article, is they're tired of their freedoms being taken away. And you and I have been saying, I can't believe they're not tired of the freedoms being taken away under AB. Well, now the S is starting to hit the fan, and the things that you have predicted and we've predicted, it seems to be coming true. Hey, very quickly, on the swing voters, basically it said that the article that talked about that said that Senator Marco Rubio and Dick Santos aren't rock solid Republicans. Even Republicans, some of the swing Republicans are saying those things. For a month, the general consensus has been that Florida's 2 marquee midterm races, governor and U.S., were rock solid, or recent polling shows that it is not anymore. And so that is, you just could predict it. They don't have the ability, especially DeSantos. He doesn't have the ability to shut up, and he's just digging it. He's making it worse and worse, which
Well,
is good.
on a daily basis, Rubio and more so Dick Suckus has gone out of their way to get their mugs in the media, because that's the MAGA standard operating procedure. Is you just keep running your mouth about stuff. You find reasons to scare people and push your agenda, and most of all, you just keep blabbering. You just keep blabbering. It doesn't matter if you're lying. It is, well, most of the time they're lying. So there is no shame to their game. Like, they just have got literally diarrhea of the mouth. They just run their mouth about everything every single day, because I think they believe if they deluge people enough with enough nonsensical ramblings, that gets them votes. And maybe if you're in a district that is like 70% Republican, you may hold true. But those 2 are statewide office holders. That means the whole state votes.
That's a purple state, exactly. And then the last about this, about the lieutenant governor that we have here, who no one really pays attention to, and that's why he makes these crazy statements. Basically, he's saying, you know, as he said that we shouldn't be teaching science and math under fifth grade. He should just focus on our history and science. He should focus on math and writing. And so, of course, because he's the educational expert who, I don't even know, I don't want to. Well, anyway, I hope he runs for governor. I hope, because he's a bit of delusional. We're in North Carolina. He thinks he's like he thinks he is like the head of the MAGA movement here in North Carolina. His party is a very racist party, a very white supremacist party. He is a heavyset black man, and he thinks he's the head of the MAGA Republican movement. I hope he runs for governor, because he's going to learn that his party hates him.
Yeah. And so,
he's
one of those really bizarre. There's very few Republicans of color. It's over 90% white.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a reason. I mean, their party constantly says insanely racist things.
Exactly.
And when you are a party of fascism and racism and kookery and bigotry of all kinds, and he spews bigotry all the time too. He is a homophobic, probably closeted gay man or bi man himself. He is paid for abortions himself. Admitted on social media years ago he did this, but now is anti-abortion.
Found Jesus.
Found Jesus, found him at the shopping malls. So like, hey, there's over there. There's Jesus. It just the whole thing is just the whole weird born again MAGA Christo terrorist groups is just, it's beyond me why anybody of color, Latinx, black, whomever, would ever vote Republican, would ever be part of the Republican Party, is a very bizarre thing, because
right, especially today in 2022, there's a little, I don't know, there's some mental delusional type of thing that is going on there. That's their issue,
right?
And I guess they think, I don't know how that's gonna be. But listen, and then the last one was the North. Well, that's the last one. But we're going to take our second break. The second break we're going to do one more time. It is a PSA done by Jenny about the MPX virus. We did an MPX show a couple weeks ago with Commissioner Mark Jarrell here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then Dr. Bumfalk, a retired neurosurgeon who's a frequent guest of our show, and it had a lot of people who watched it as well. And so we're going to do a PSA, and then we'll be right back to finally talk about our topic, why Dems run America's top cities. So we'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Hey y'all, very important PSA. Monkeypox, a viral infection similar to chickenpox, is on the rise. There's been over 1,500 cases documented in the United States. If you've been exposed to the pox by a lover or by any other intimate contact, make sure you contact your county official or your personal physician. To learn more, you can contact any of your county health officials and see about a vaccine and or possible mitigating the symptoms. Be safe out there and have a fun summer. Bye.
Thank you, Boo, for that information. Hey, I'm Christian Cano. I wanted to thank you so much for watching our Coffee and Pan Dulce shows. I also want to thank you so much for watching us on our video podcast, which is on Facebook and YouTube, but also for listening to us on our audio podcast shows on your favorite audio podcast platform like Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and many more. Once again, thanks for watching us and listening to us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. Bye, y'all.
All right, thank you so much. And before we do that, I just want to comment real quickly. Last night, Monday night, full disclosure, I went to the Charlotte City Council here in Charlotte, North Carolina meeting.
they had a big vote on this UDO ordinance type of thing. They're changing the way they look at Charlotte for many reasons and so forth, and it passed. I was invited by the Carolina Jews for Justice, and I attended, and they were in support of, a lot of groups were supportive of this ordinance being passed, or this thing being passed. And it did pass, and there were some members that was actually their very last Charlotte City Council meeting, because our new Charlotte City Council is sworn in the Tuesday after Labor Day. And so last night I was watching it. I was there, and I was actually commenting on the live stream as well. And there were some people that were really, really against this. And I made a comment, and I said, for those who are against this, get engaged, join one of the groups, like this was done by the Planning Commission. Apply for the planning position, and then run for office. If this is something that you are insistent, run for office. This is how democracy works. Because there are some people who I have supported, or we've supported in the past, who did not vote for it. Doesn't mean that they are bad people, that they had reasons they didn't, their district, they felt it wasn't the best move. But the groups that we awaited. Anyway, make a long story short, one of the individuals, and I'm not going to name the person's name, remarked later on, this is like 2 hours after the meeting, remarked later on, Christian, you have something about, you don't even live here. You're not even from here. So why should you comment? It's just like the stupidest comment in the world, because 70-80% of Charlotte is not from Charlotte. So it was such a stupid, like a child comment. And so I was like, well, I'm married. Our family has been in the Lincoln County area since 1845. I said, our family's been in this region of 1845. Even though I really should have said that. I should have said, that's great, because most people aren't from Charlotte. That's why it is so wonderful. So then this person said, oh, you're a lot. Yeah, successful. And this person said, well, you're lying. And so I didn't want to, you don't want to get in an argument with childish stuff. It was kind of funny, because it's not really a real person. They're using a fake name. And I said, watch the show. We'll talk about it. So all I'm going to say is the majority of Charlotte is not from Charlotte. Regardless if a person is born in this city or not born in this city, everyone is invested in this city. If we let just the native Charlotteans run this city, it wouldn't be a city. So we are thankful that we have so many. Our mayor is not born and raised in Charlotte.
No.
So,
I mean, that literally is one of the. It's ironic because it's probably a Republican. Is probably a Republican that made this comment.
Of course, under a fake.
And I find it ironic that the party of carpetbagging, where they have a TV voodoo doctor running for Pennsylvania, to be a U.S. Senator for Pennsylvania, and his main residence and his kids go to school in New Jersey. I find it ironic that one of his 10 homes, he has a vacation home somewhere in Pennsylvania, probably some Unabomber's crazy shack somewhere up in the Poconos. But anyway, I find it weird when Republicans want to make the litmus test of local politics. Well, you're not really from here, so you don't count. That they keep having the problem of having carpetbagging politics in their own party. I mean, not to mention, Cubano de Canada himself, Ted Cruz, running for president, even though technically he probably wasn't born in the United States. Yeah. I find it ironic that these guys run their mouth about that crap all the time. Let's start there. Second of all, the reason why Democrats run big cities are very competitive, and it's hard to live in a big city if you're not willing to compete. The reason why Republicans mostly live in rural areas is because they mentally and financially can't compete, because they're just not as smart as us. And here's the thing, Democrats run big cities because we have higher levels of education. We're open to all sorts of humanity. We aren't racist. Our platforms aren't racist. And we know how to get things done. And so you look at why Democrat type politics gets embraced. It's because big cities aren't stupid. They grew to a certain size, and the business climate grew to a certain size because they knew things like progressive ideas make cities grow. Big companies do not want to move to hillbilly towns for a reason.
Yeah.
They move to big cities because the big cities invest into infrastructure, I know, which is socialist. And they invest in the people, which is socialist too. We don't want to invest in our people or teach them reading, writing, arithmetic. God forbid that they use that against us when we institutionalize you guys for being stupid and crazy. But here's the most important reason. The reason why Democrats dominate in cities is this: we Democrats and the Democratic Party is what makes America go. And what makes us the great American, communities that we are, is because we're willing to embrace the better parts of humanity and push for progress and growth. And that's it.
And you explained it very well, Jenny. And one of the things that I know it's almost embarrassing talking about this, because it's so, all you have to do is look around. All right. Young people, young professional people who are out of college, or even regardless if they're in college or not, most people, if you've grown up in they call it the brain drain in the rural areas. The reason the brain drain occurs in the rural areas, and in North Carolina is no exception, is because young people are looking for something that is better. It's been happening, since 1950s, 60s, 40s, 30s, I don't know, since the Great Depression. The brain drain has been occurring. So you're always going to find young people moving to areas that they feel more, where they can get jobs, where they feel more accepted, whatever the case may be.
Here's my thing, though. It's not a brain drain.
Yeah.
It's living in rural areas, first of all, sucks.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic.
When you get older,
I don't want to live in some cousin marrying rural county where they're going to sit there and push their religious beliefs down your throat from Jump Street. And I've lived in a rural area in a resort town. I did it for 12 years.
Yeah.
And the Christo terrorists make your life miserable. You can't step 5 feet in any direction and not have some kind of person pushing a pamphlet down your throat, asking you where your church home is. And young people are tired of it. They want to go where they going to get career opportunities, where they can put their education to use. They want to go do stuff that's fun. And you can't experience that in a town of 5,000 people. And usually the people that control these small towns have small minds. They don't want it to be no big, scary, big old city where they teach math and science. We want to keep our people stupid, so they keep voting for us. And there's the truth. And I'm not going to soft pedal it anymore, because I'm sick and tired of us Democrats. The one problem we have, and I even have this problem with you just a little bit, Christian, is when we get on the air, you want to tiptoe around it. And let's say what it is. Living in a small town and being a person of color, being different, or just wanting to go and live life, like be able to go to a big city pride parade without having to drive through 3 redneck counties is fun. You can jump on the light rail, you can jump on the bus, you can go in your car, and you can see amazing diversity. You can go to the Turkish festival, you can go to all the different opportunities that we have, the museums, the all that. And that was all created by Democrats. And the reason why it was created by Democrats is because we want to see progress. We want to see, African history. We want to experience things. When I first moved here, one of the coolest museum shows I've ever seen was the history of African print fashion and what it means empowerment wise, especially for women. It's one way women in Africa can protest is by their fashion. But you would never see that in a small town because they don't want to teach stuff like that. They don't want that's grooming, even though we shove the Bible down your throat every 5 seconds. And this is the thing. This is why progressives move to big cities is because they get tired of trying to get indoctrinated by all this voodoo. I'm scared of everything except for the Bible that's got stories of angel rape and all kinds of other stuff. The Bible itself is a scary ass book if you actually read it. And so I know we're getting a little off topic, but I'm kind of getting tired of Democrats getting crapped on and blamed for things they didn't even do. And we are patriotism. We are America. We embrace diversity. We embrace so much about what makes America great, which has always been a country that has made a methodical progress in the history books. Yeah, we've done a lot of bad things too, but real Americanism is progress and progressiveness.
Jenny, what you said, I completely agree with you. And I do agree that Democrats and progressives, we need to be more not kind of what you said. And to your point, the Republicans will say anything and everything, and we don't often rebuttal. You know, we go, oh, no one will believe it. No one will believe it. But unfortunately, there are people that believe it. For an example, Trump said that Democrat states are the crime-infested states in 2020. He said that. They did a fact check, of course, and it turns out that the top, it says, here we go, the accurate number of rate is the alarming rate is that despite the right-wing media and Trump's narrative, the problem is that Republican-run cities and states have more crime than Democratic areas and states. And 8 of the 10 states with the highest murder rates in 2020 were Republican-run states.
Yes.
And so, and when I have said this, and we know this because we have family members that maybe live in the suburban areas or even suburban, that's even a different thing. Then also people who live in the rural areas as well. We all know one of the reasons, and I can speak for my family in Texas, one of the reasons in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that so many people have moved to the suburbs and moved even further is because they can't afford to live in they can buy a bigger house, and that because they're trying to live the American, they're trying to keep up with their aunts and their uncles and their sisters and the Joneses, so they want the same kind of house that someone else had, and they can't afford it in the city. So they move out to the country, they buy some land, they build a house. There's nothing wrong with that, but we have to admit, the reason you're buying a house out in Burleson, Texas, out in wherever you're living in Texas, is because you can't afford to live in Dallas. You can't afford to live in Fort Worth with the same type of house that you want. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. And so there's this thinking that, well, they're living out there because they don't like the crime in the city. No, if they really want to live in Dallas. They want to live in, wherever. They just can't afford to with a family. And so, but if they didn't have those kids, they would love to live in, downtown.
And there's a lot of truth to that. Republicans have always tried to justify, the rural living and the suburban living lifestyle and all that. And what the real truth is that whether it's a small town mayor or whatever, they stand up and they say the stupidest things and say, well, I don't want that big city living. And I'm going, you clearly can't compete in the big city. The real truth is that you're in the arena of ideas, and we all compete in the arena of ideas. Life is a constant competition for many different reasons. And for some of us that are smarter, which tend to be Democrats, one of the reasons we can compete better in a big city is because we don't consistently. Now, I'm not saying all Democrats are smart. We've got a few people here that are well-placed Democrats in this town that are also stupid.
Yeah.
But they've also been up in the public eye for a long time, and I think they forgot why they ran for office in the first place. And or they got used to saying stupid stuff without people checking them and going, hey, boo, that really sounds stupid. Like you've done this act for 20 or 30 years on the county commission, and we love you, but it is time to go take a nappy nap somewhere else.
Exactly.
So I mean, so there's a little bit of cowardice in our own party of just sometimes letting people go a little too far in office, and that's why I'm a big fan of term limits. But that's a different show. But but all in all, people run away to live in the rural areas.
Exactly.
Cities you run to because you want to have a better, more experiential life. I mean, because I always say this all the time, life is for the living. You want to live in an exciting, dynamic city that only progressive politics can create. Jenny, rural areas encourage small-mindedness. And it's just the way it is. And the people that run out to those areas are just afraid of everything, And another point that you made, I wrote a blog about a year or two ago about violence in states. The top 20 most violent states, 19 of them have Republican governors. Out of those, 13 of them are all the Confederate states, all the former mouth-breathing southern states. They're the most violent. And here's the thing, is that we need to say it the way it is that a lack of education, which there also happen, those 13 states also happen to be at the bottom of the educational totem pole as well. So when you have, and they also happen to be 13 of the most religious states, the most Christian states per capita of churches. And so there is a definite tie between poverty, violence, Christianity, and lack of opportunity. And there's no other way of saying that. And when Christian terrorists suppress and suppress and suppress, a lot of things happen. Some people will give up. Some people will give up on their hopes and dreams of living a bigger life and push this anti-education. We just saw it with our lieutenant governor saying, they shouldn't be teaching no science in 5th grade. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Hey, Jen, let's take our last break real quickly. Then we're going to come back and just kind of wrap this up and then close up the show. We only have about 10 minutes left, but you're exactly right. I want to say something real quickly, but let's take our last break. The last break is actually a promotion or a promo talking about Jenny's show that drops about 30 minutes after this one on Wednesdays at 11:30. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. And her hair is let down today. It really gets let even more down. And so we'll be right back to talk about Two Queers in a Truck right after this.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you.
Well, welcome. And don't forget to join Jenny's show and watch or listen to her show on a treadmill or whatever. Two Queers in a Truck drops after this one. So to your point, Jenny, I think what I was trying to say, and I feel more comfortable saying this now that you have empowered me. For so long, people who've decided to live in urban areas, like I have, pretty much my entire life, I've lived in DC, Dallas, Atlanta, now Charlotte, the urban areas. We've always been made to feel guilty, as if though we know the reason I don't want to live in Monroe, Texas is because Monroe, North Carolina, is because it's Monroe, North Carolina. But we've never said that because I don't say it because I don't want to diminish the people that live in that city. I don't want to feel foo-foo or relief. But they have no problem diminishing us, saying, right, oh, the people woke that live in, Atlanta, the people woke that live in this city. And quite honestly, to your point, I'm kind of tired of that. I'm tired of them, those of us who have made the decision to live in a more diverse environment. We're getting tired of those continual attacks from these moms for freedom idiots.
Yeah. But see, here, this is the only thing that chaps my ass about Democrats.
Sure.
And the independents that kind of flip and flop is prove it. Vote idiots out. Protect protect your rights. Look at Florida, for example. Look at Texas. These Tejanos are crying about the extra border security and all this, and they're the same Tejanos 3-4 years ago that were supporting Trump and supporting Abbott. They're saying, "Hey, come here the legal way." That were dissing their own, skin folks, and doesn't always make you kin folks. As our Lawada Mayfield, our soon to be city council person at large, says, and to me, if words are great, but I'm going to judge somebody by their actions.
No.
And these same Tejanos, these same Floridians, are bitching about all the craziness that's going on in their states. And going, don't elect MAGAs.
Yeah. Well,
that's real simple. When you go in that little voting booth, you're saying yes to crazy or yes to unhinged politics, or you can say no to it and vote where it says Democrat next to that person's name. That's an inoculation against stupid. So if you don't want stupid politics in your city, your county, your state, or your country, how you vaccinate against stupidity and tyranny is voted for a Democrat. That's just as simple as you can get.
I agree. And Jenny, one of the things that I think that, if you make the decision to live in an urban area, one of the major cities, that's wonderful. That's great. That's a decision that you made for whatever reason. If you make the decision to live in a rural area or a suburb, that's wonderful. That's great. But when you start knocking other people for living in those, don't expect those people to remain silent. That's kind of what I'm getting to the point is why Dems run America's top cities. Dems run America's top cities is because the best and the brightest want to live in the top cities. That's the reason why.
And the truth is, the best and the brightest are in the Democratic Party.
I agree. Well,
we need to brag on our own brand. Let's compare the last two presidents, the current one and the former guy.
Yeah.
Just listen to those two people talk.
Yeah.
Biden doesn't get up there and brag about himself. He's reluctant to even share the spotlight with anybody else.
So are you saying that Herschel Walker is not the best and the brightest?
I'm just saying, I wouldn't trust him teaching a science class.
Well,
if they had a class on lying and lack of ethics, being an abusive spouse, he'd be a great teacher for that. But as far as let's look at Dr. Reverend Senator Warnock and compare him to Herschel Walker. Dr. Warnock is a man of ethics.
Yeah.
Does what he says. Is brilliant in every way, shape, or form. Let's look at Mr. Walker there for just a second.
Go ahead.
Social pariah.
Very quickly, Jack, because we're going to wrap up.
Toxic for every football team that he played for. Lied about graduating from Georgia. This dude
lied about being on the FBI.
He also lives in Dallas, Texas, too. Exactly. This guy lives in Dallas, Texas. Why is he running for governor in Georgia?
So I just think that because I know we got to close up, but I just think that this, and you and I have talked about this, that this strategy, this current MAGA strategy to promote the dumbest and the loudest is not sustainable because young people do not want to grow up to be like Herschel Walker. They want to grow up to be like Barack Obama. They want to grow up to be like maybe a president. They want to be the best and the brightest. Now, maybe they get bitter when they get in middle age, which is a lot of the MAGA people. They get real bitter. That's why they're so angry. But most young people want to be the fireman, the policeman, the teacher, the president of the United States. They don't want to be the loud, obnoxious MTG, a proud boy, or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. I just think that may make a few middle-aged MAGA people feel better because they're whatever, but it's not a sustainable strategy because it doesn't attract new voters. That's why, why Dems run America's top cities. Young people are moving to the top cities because that is more inspiring for them. So I just think it's a more sustainable strategy.
And it's more fun. I mean,
yeah.
If I was 25 years old and I grew up in rural North Carolina, I wouldn't even hesitate to move to a larger city, especially a city like Charlotte that is a beacon of hope, a opportunities of cultural opportunities and growth and personal growth, and so much diversity. And what I love about Charlotte and what was so astonishing when I moved here, because I've only lived here for 4 years now, like my 4-year anniversary with Charlotte's next month, and I'm blown away at how much diversity is actually here, how much it's celebrated, how much it is. So it's just the beauty of all the different cultures and opportunities and learning opportunities, and how Charlotte really embraces it. You look at the Gantt Museum, and you look at all the different museums and opportunities to go to these different, mostly free opportunities that you can go attend, and they're just amazing. And there's so much that you can learn here, and so much that is very modern, very progressive. And we even have, some of that crazy science stuff here too, and libraries that don't ban books.
Yeah. Hey, listen, and our show has ended, but we're going to go ahead and go around. Jenny, this is as usual. You and I, we carried the show.
Well, yeah.
We didn't even have to get rid of St. Bernie and Baby Trump Pinata.
You like your toys.
I just realized. Okay. I just realized. Yes, my little dolls. All right, so. I just want to remind everyone that next week is our last show. You get a bonus show. You get five. What is it, Jen? Sundays.
We got guns that look like knives and knives that look like guns. Sunday. We've got a fifth show. So you get 5 opportunities to be punished if you are a Republican or a MAGA.
That's right.
So there's an extra opportunity for me to insult y'all. And I appreciate y'all watching and taking your flogging like a grown MAGA. And so it's super exciting.
Yeah. So next week's show we're going to be talking about the Great Resignation and the labor revival. We'll be talking about that. And then, of course, next week we'll also post our fall shows for September, October, and November of this year. So with that said, Jenny, tell us who you're going to be in 30 seconds or less, and then we'll kind of wrap up the show.
Well, not doing too much this weekend. Had a pretty intense last weekend with Pride and all that. But at about 30 minutes, you'll see my face along with Christian's face on Two Queers in a Truck. Other than that, laying pretty low, actually. I mean, it's usually after a Pride weekend, especially a big city one, when I'm going to Dallas Pride and Charlotte Pride and all that. I'm usually pretty chill for a week or two. I've got a lot of socialization for at least until next month when my birthday occurs again. So I'll make another trip around the sun.
All right, and I will be, after talking about all of this, I will actually be in the country. So we'll be camping in the country and spending time with our family in the country. And I actually really do enjoy being in the country. I do. It is a slower pace. I don't have to think a lot. So to your point.
That is the understatement of the century right there.
And all right. Anyway, so with that said, we do want to thank all of you. We thank you for joining us on Coffee Pan Dulce. Anything else, Jen, before I turn the music on? Let's see if we can hear it this time, and then we'll end the show. Okay, here we go.
I'm good.
Can you get it? Get the music? All right. Thank y'all. We'll see you next week.
This Imagine Tejano music sending us out.
Exactly. Bye.
Thank you for watching, everybody. And here is my nod to rural living right here, a little dueling banjos. But if you guys don't watch our show, it'd be just Christian and I talking to ourselves. So it'd be pretty boring. So we appreciate you all, including our MAGA viewers. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Be safe out there.
Bye, y'all.
Next up, thanks for watching our Coffee Pan Dulce. Next up is Two Queers in a Truck. Stay tuned.